really lucky to have Ana Valenzuela Toro joining us. She is a Chilean paleobiologist. She's pursuing her Ph.D. in ecology and evolutionary biology at University of California, Santa Cruz. She's a Peter Buck Predoctoral Fellow at the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of Natural History, and she's an explorer at the National Geographic Society. Her research interests are in the ecological and evolutionary history of marine mammals, specifically looking at pinnipeds, so the group that includes seals, fur seals, sea lions, and walruses. So how they evolved, maintain that semi-aquatic lifestyle, breeding on land, hunting in the water over the past 30 million or so years. So I'm going to bring her in live with us right now. Hey, Ana, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Oh, of course. It's so great to have you joining us live. Yesterday, we were live with classrooms to celebrate women in and girls in science, the International Day for them. We were live on the beach in California, Ano Nuevo, hanging out with elephant seals, which was really
Wow,
cool. Yeah.
that is so cool. And actually, today I'm going to talk a little bit about elephant seals, but very old elephant seals. So we will have, more to say about that.
All right. Very cool. Well, I'm going to let you take over for a little bit, and then we'll have a few questions.
Sure. So I'm going to share my screen there, and hopefully you will be able to see my presentation.
Looks
Great.
good.
Perfect. So hello, everyone. Thank you, Joe, and the organizers for inviting me. I'm super honored to share my research and my passion with you. So today I will talk about my academic journey and my research in marine mammal paleontology. In particular, I will spotlight two studies in which I was involved, but hopefully will give you an idea of how diverse and fun paleontological research can be. So just a very quick introduction. Joe did a wonderful job telling you about me. Yes, I'm from Chile. I'm a biologist and paleontologist, and I am right now in the US doing my PhD. And I'm really interested on marine mammals, ecology, and evolution. So understanding how marine mammals evolve. And in particular, my research is focused on pinnipeds, this group that includes seals, fur seals, lions. And they are very special because they have this dual lifestyle. So, they forage in water, but they also breathe and nurse on land. So the pinnipeds are very different from other fully aquatic marine mammals like whales, dolphins, or sea cows that spend their whole life at sea. So when I see them, many questions popping into my mind. So for example, how does this species evolve? How did their very peculiar morphology originate? And why are they semi-aquatic and not fully aquatic like dolphins? So, and finally, how climate change will affect them? Because in the ocean, climate change is really making life very, very hard. So I'm really interested to see how climate change will affect them in the future. So to answer all these questions, I use the fossil record. So fossils are the remains or traces of ancient organisms. They are preserved over millions of years in rock, amber, tar, or even ice. And scientists like me who study fossils are called paleontologists. And probably you are familiar with paleontologists working on dinosaurs, but there are other paleontologists that are looking at other animals like marine mammals. And we use a variety of techniques that allow us to reveal, to explore on how these ancient organisms look like, where they live, what they ate, and how they behave. And I tell you, think about paleontologists as like detectives of the past. So we use different clues to reconstruct a whole story of how life was in the past. So my research journey has involved very different components, and one of those is fieldwork. So I have been involved in different and several excavations of fossil marine mammals, but other animals, including dinosaurs too. And here I'm showing you one picture that I will talk more about it about the excavation of some fossil whales in the desert in Chile, in South America. Also, my work involves a lot of work in museum collections in different cities and countries. So when you go to a museum, you see all this wonderful exhibition and on display where you can see specimens, objects, artifacts, etc. But behind the scenes, museums also house this wonderful collection where they archive specimens and artifacts or remains of some cultures that provide snapshots of a species or community or cultures at a particular point in time and space. And that information and those objects are super, super important, because if they were not in the museum, in those collections, they were lost forever. And those collections are very important for people like me and other scientists, because we can study them. So museums have been a key part of my research all over the last few years. So here is another picture of a museum collection that I have been involved with. This is one of the largest collection of marine mammals in the world, and is located at the Smithsonian Museum Support Center in Maryland. This is in the East Coast of the US, and this includes thousands of remains of blue whales and other like baleen whales from all over the planet. And I am there, right there, looking at some whales. But also my work involves ton of lab work. So in particular, I'm interested in looking at the chemistry of these fossil remains. So to try to understand some processes, chemical processes, and how they reveal some aspect of the biology and ecology of these animals through time. And this picture here is real. Those are my samples that I'm right now analyzing for my PhD. Okay, so today I will I will tell you two stories showing the detective work that paleontologists like me conduct. In particular, the first one I mentioned before, I will talk about elephant seals, and then I'm gonna talk about some fossil whales from the desert in Chile. So the first case is this enigmatic elephant seal from Indiana. So this picture that you see here, it was taken in Año Nuevo Reserve, the same place that you explored yesterday, where I'm also a researcher involved with other projects that maybe in another time I will talk to you about. So elephant seals. Elephant seals are wonderful animals. They are the largest living pinniped, and the males can reach over 5 meters long, or that is around 16 feet long. And males are characterized by having this very large proboscis or nose, which can be used to produce very loud sounds, or especially during the breeding season, when mating competition with other males occurs. So there's a lot of activity in the breeding colony. So elephant seals, besides being very large and very spectacular, they are excellent divers, and they spend almost 90% of the time at sea. So right now, there are two species of elephant seals that they look very, very similar, but they are not the same, and I will show you. And you can see here, there are the northern elephant seals. They are located in the North Pacific, and you can see them along all California and Mexico. And then there's the southern elephant seals. They are mostly distributed along the Southern Ocean and in some areas of the South Pacific and South Atlantic. So having in mind what I just showed you, that elephant seals are marine animals that live in the North Pacific and in the Southern Ocean. What if I tell you that we found an elephant seal from the Midwest of the US? That sounds crazy. So there, that is where we found some remains, very ancient remains of an elephant seal. That sounds crazy. So yes, that is what happened. So as I show you, museum collections store wonderful specimens from very different places in the world that scientists are looking for to study them. So when hidden in one of the shelves of the museum collection at the Smithsonian, there was this specimen. This is a cast or a replica, right, of a skull of an animal that appeared to be like an elephant seal. So its morphology was very remarkable, and I will show you how is that. But it was appeared to be something very weird about this because the papers that were together with the specimen show that this specimen was collected near Lafayette in Indiana. And well, this paper also say that this specimen was found in 1965 near the riverbanks of the Wabash River in Lafayette. So we were very intrigued because yeah, it looked like an elephant seal skull. So we start describing it. So each part of the skull has a different name. So that is what I'm showing you, the different tiny details. And then we start comparing this specimen. And yeah, it looked like this is a skull of an elephant seal. And this specimen, it will be this section of the skull that is basically the rostrum that preserves the canine, the tooth sockets, some holes for some nerves that go through the brain, etc. So it was, yes, it was like an elephant seal, and that was very, very strange. So we were intrigued and we continued looking at the morphology because that was the only evidence we had at that moment. So we started looking at different museum collections in different institutions, and finally we were able, just having a big collection of skulls, we were able to conclude that yes, this specimen that was found in Indiana was a southern elephant seal. Indeed, it was a male southern elephant seal that somehow it was able to cross the Pacific, cross the equator, and go to Indiana. So, how did this male southern elephant seal arrive? So, Indiana, or the area where we found it, it is more than 10,000 kilometers outside its known range. So we were asking ourselves as biologists, is that even possible for an animal to do that? So because of that, we start looking in more detail the biology and the history of living elephant seals to see if this ancient elephant seal was even capable of doing so. So as I said before, elephant seals are excellent ocean navigators and spend most of their time at sea. So in fact, several extraliminal occurrences at very distant locations of the current distribution range that I'm showing you for southern elephant seals in orange have been detected. So each of these little orange points are places where southern elephant seals have been found more recently. And I want you to put attention to this tiny point here in the Gulf of California, where last year a male southern elephant seal was found alive and apparently very healthy. What is crazy, I mean, this is it was at that time the most distant or more extreme occurrence of a southern elephant seal ever recorded. And then this specimen, scientists were very interested, and they took some pictures, and they found that even this species had barnacles in the hind flipper. That means those are the crustaceans that you can also find in rocks on the beaches, but also in the in wells. because you need a lot of to be a lot of time in the water for have those organisms growing in the body, right? So that means if elephant seal spent a lot of time. So that suggests us that this specimen was capable of traveling very far distance. But we don't have to forget that the elephant seal that we found in Indiana, it's more than 1,000 kilometers from the closest marine source, the ocean. So this will be the most extreme freshwater incursion of an elephant seal ever. So we look at if that will be the case for other marine mammals, and actually, yes, it has been recorded for other cetaceans, especially baleen whales. So apparently, marine mammals they don't have extreme limits or strict limits for their physiology or for them to live in some areas. So that was one case. And I very quickly go about a second case that is more related to baleen whales. And this is a case of a fossil whale graveyard in the desert. So in this picture, you can see that there are three whales. Here's one skeleton of one whale. There is another, a smaller one, and here is a third one. What is very interesting about this site is that each of those black stars that you see here in the picture are other whales. So here we have 3, 4, 5, 6, and I can tell you they were in this site there were 40 whales. And so this site is located in the desert of Chile, in the northern of Chile, and it has an approximately between 6 to 9 millions of years. So super, super, super old. And all the specimens here, whales and other marine mammals, because I will show you that there were other marine mammals too, they have an exceptional preservation. That was very, very unique. So we were a group of international paleontologists, included some students, domestic students like me, that I was finishing my undergrad and then entering into the master program, got together and started studying this site. And we discovered as we continue excavating the site that there was not only one level of whales, but 4 different levels. So there was one layer of sediment with whales, there was another. So that means that maybe at least 4 different events occur and accumulate these whales. So what were the reasons? Maybe a catastrophic event like a tsunami, like a pandemic, or maybe something that we can observe today, that is this Harman algal blooms. Here today is the most common mass strangling agent. So we have 3 different ways to explore this. One was preservation, the other one was sedimentology, and then it was the fauna. And I will show you very quickly how we did this investigation. So as I told you, the whales were super well preserved, and that preservation means that the burial was super rapid, was super quick, and that means that probably a tsunami or another event like more catastrophic event was not the reason, because we will expect to find like all the bones disarticulated and etc. But another thing that we found is that there was a preservation of algal mats in the sediment that were analogous of what we see today in lakes when there's massive algal blooms. And also this area has a high iron concentration that is like the food for these algal blooms to grow. And finally, in this site, we did not only find whales, but also aquatic sloths, walrus-like dolphins, other baleen whales, seals, sperm whales, dolphins, etc. So, and this is one of the characteristics of when there is a massive event of a toxic algal bloom that affects several different taxa in the ocean. So putting everything together, we were able to say that this was the largest fossil mass stranding site in history. And then the probably cause, it was a toxic, algal bloom. And then if you are interested in follow up on this story, please scan this QR code, because that will redirect you to a website at the Smithsonian where you can you can explore all the data that we collected at that site, and also you can access to the 3D models that we created from this site. So basically, those are very scientifically accurate reconstruction of the wells and the whole site. And you can have it in your phone if you want. And if you have a 3D printer, you can print them. And just finally say that science, this is not my only work. I'm not alone doing all of this. Science is super collaborative, and I have been lucky to get together, collaborate and become friends with so many people and fantastic women and other collaborators that have allowed me to pursue my passion. And so the takeaways is that, paleontology and science is super fun and for everyone. Paleontologists can be like detectives of the past. We can use very different approaches, including fieldwork, museum collections, etc. And science is collaborative and is a massive endeavor by many people. And just with that, I want to thank you for your attention, for staying here on Saturday. And yeah, thank you so, so much.
Awesome, Anna. Thanks for that great presentation.
Of course. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, that the detective work is so exciting. These mysteries from millions of years ago, and then having to look for different evidence and collaborate with different people to try and solve these mysteries. And those two that you shared are two pretty big mysteries. I mean, an elephant seal all the way in Indiana. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump into some questions here. So I want to start off with, you mentioned at the beginning, elephant seals are deep diving. What are they feeding on when they dive down that deep?
Oh, so that is a very good question. So elephant seals are very spectacular because females can go to the middle of the ocean and they can dive very, very deep and around 1,000 meters deep.
Wow.
And they're consuming very tiny fishes. They're called mesopelagic fishes that migrate through the water column. And males are very different because males can dive very deep, but they tend to remain near the coast. So that is why, especially during the winter, you can see them along the coast of California, all over the place, California, but also Oregon and Washington.
Okay, very cool. So when you shared the first story with us, that elephant seal fossil was found in a collection, and those collections, exist at museums all around the world. Do you think there's lots of other mysteries like that, just waiting for the right person to come in and kind of poke through some of those collections?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I can tell you that museum collections are full of wonderful treasures that are waiting for scientists to get into them, to discover them and describe them. I really love museum collections because you feel like it's Christmas time. You open a cabinet and you never know what you will find. Just need to like the correct lenses to discover them.
All right. Very, very cool. Now, when you look at the fossil record, we often see in the past larger species that don't exist today. So giant sloths and others. Were there bigger species of seals like the elephant seal that have gone extinct?
Yes, indeed. There were giant walruses in the past. They are not anymore. I mean, today walruses are big, but I can tell you that in the past there were huge animals. They don't exist anymore. The reason why they got extinct or why they disappeared or they are not anymore with us, we don't know yet. We really don't know, and that is one of the subjects that we want to understand, to trying to predict what maybe that was related to environmental change or some ecological transformations in the marine ecosystem. And that is important because that will inform some of the predictions that we can make about what happens if the marine ecosystem continue changing because of climate change, how that will affect the modern configuration of the pinniped and marine mammal fauna today.
Okay. And so on your latest project, the second mystery, the whale graveyard, you shared kind of that access to those materials. Even looks like you could 3D print some of those fossil models if you wanted to. Why do you think it's so important to give the public access to this kind of science, these kind of resources?
Yeah, because I think it's super important for people to access this because they can really appreciate how research and science work. Sometimes I feel like the scientific discoveries get somehow disconnected from the community, from the global community, and are part of I don't know, like a more secretive communities of scientists. And I think it's important to make it available for everyone. So because different people have different questions, different interests, different tools that they can apply, they can use them to understand these treasures, this fossil record. So I think it's important to make it accessible for everyone, regardless of the language they speak, where they are located, the discipline they are into, etc. Different expertises. So the fossil record is a treasure for everyone and not for some.
Absolutely. And I can just imagine students, kids printing out these, it's more accessible than ever to use 3D printers and to have these in their room as they're thinking about, careers that they'd like in the future, maybe a career in paleontology, becoming a detective, just like you are. So yeah, really cool to be able to bring that science in an accessible way to so many people.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great to be alive today with all this technology.
Absolutely. Well, Anna, I want to start off, well, actually here, I want to share a banner here. If people would like to follow along with the work you're doing, follow along some of your stories, there's your Twitter, there's your Instagram handle. So do please follow and keep track of the future adventures. I'm sure there's lots of more detective work to be done. Very exciting. And thank you so much for spending some time with us today, sharing your stories with us. And that really fun storytelling, those detectives, those stories that you have to decipher from these fossils, these imprints left from millions and millions of years ago.
Yeah, no, thank you to you for inviting me. I'm super happy.
Of course.
Yeah.
We'll have a great weekend. Hopefully you can tune into some more events. We have a crazy busy day coming up tomorrow as well. It was great to see you, and I look forward to our next connection.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.